party people! Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the extra play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week, I am joined by VJ Brown for a game of Nora Blake's Seeds of Rebellion. Seeds of Rebellion is a game about freedom fighters, opposing a fascist regime that suppresses art and spirituality in favor of raw, emotionless efficiency. It is also a game about emotion and spirituality, and how we relate to ourselves and each other. It's a very cool game. I really enjoy it. I'd love to play it again on the show sometime. We'll have to make that happen. You can find more information about Seeds of Rebellion in the show notes. VJ is the storyteller of Hedged In, a Changeling story, an actual play podcast using the Changeling the Lost rule set, which you can find more information about at hedgedinacs.com or in the show notes. They are also an incredible graphic designer, which you can find more information about at vjbrowndesigns.com. They've helped make the Empty Orchestra PDF. They've worked with me on a few other projects. I highly recommend VJ's work. Check it out. They're great people. I love them. Real quick, before we dive in, a special thank you to Chet Gray, our newest backer on Patreon. Patreon backers help support the podcast, games, and all the other little projects that I do. And in exchange, you get early access to Party of One episodes and games, special projects, overviews of how-tos and Q&As, all sorts of cool stuff. Check all of that out at patreon.com/JeffStormer. Oh, and a brief content warning, this episode does deal in themes of an omnipresent police state, and at one point a character's personal information is exposed to the public. Listener discretion is advised. With all that said, let's throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me.
Thanks, future me. This week, I am delighted to be sitting down with VJ Brown. VJ, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Oh, thank you for having me, Jeff.
So, real quick, at the top of the show, why don't you take a moment to tell our lovely listeners at home about all of the many cool projects that you are working on that you might want them to know about.
So I'm the storyteller for Hedged In, a Changeling story, an actual play podcast about found family, queer themes, and the dangers of the Fae and the Hedge. You can find all of that on our website at hedgedinacs.com and our Twitter, hedgedinacs. I am also a graphic designer that does graphic design stuff, including stuff for Jeff on occasion.
True. This is true, and I can vouch that I would the Jeff Stormer seal of approval. If you need a graphic designer, layout artist, I recommend VJ. I think you're great. So this week, we are playing Seeds of Rebellion by Nora Blake. It is a game about changing the world, about revolution, and, it is specifically a game about, like, our confidence and how we relate to confidence in our world and in sort of the challenges that we face. It is a game about, magic, and it's a lot of things that we'll kind of get into. I think that actually the opening text of the game does a better job of explaining it than I will.
It's because Nora's kind of amazing writer.
This is true. This is extremely true. So, the streets are cold. The air tastes of metal. The buildings spew smog and drool oil. Sewage runs in underground rivers. Unblinking lights keep glimmering eyes fixed on the muted crowds, and metal walks upright, dispensing order with blade and gun barrel. It wasn't always like this. We know that. We have memories of a better world, and they give us the power to fight back. This is a game about memory and magic and fighting back against fascism, capitalism, and an eldritch, unknowable corruption. Play to find out how and why do we fight, how do we keep each other safe, and what do we want the world to be. With that, that's the premise of the game. It's a hell of a pitch. It's a hell of a premise. I'm very excited.
Gives me those chills, man.
I'm pumped. This is going to be good. So, let's go ahead and go through character creation. It's very quick. It's a few quick questions and sort of build our little story of resistance. Our story of rebellion. There are a few different archetypes. There are 5 archetypes to choose from. There's the Edge, the Heart, the Inspired, the Nourisher, and the Visionary. You had some thoughts about the archetype that you wanted to play.
I did. I really liked both the Heart, which is driven by ties to their family, friends, and communities, to play a heart to foster connection between peoples and groups. Because just with life, how it's been and how the world as it is, just having that that softness of like bringing other people together and working people together, just felt right.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones are really, really good, but I was just like, I think I need some soft dystopia. I feel like that's kind of a thing, kind of like Nausicaa. I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's a very good role in a dystopic kind of, resistance story. So you are the thread that winds with others to create a strong cord. You bring people together, crafting the bonds that grant stability, security, and safety. But there are those who would take advantage of your kindness, and you have learned well how to read the heart. You are the shepherd that protects the flock. Guard it well, for the city is rank with wolves. So I'm going to ask you some questions. Mm-hmm. This is going to flesh out our city. This is going to flesh out our other characters. This is going to flesh out our scenario. Who do you crave a connection with?
So I think I crave a connection with... I crave a connection with other families. I think that this is a character that that is tired of being alone, but is not like looking for a romantic entanglement as so much as like sort of something more than that. Not that romantic entanglements aren't, but they're looking for found family, and so they're looking for others like them who need to have their pain heard and have their hand held.
Sure, absolutely. What bond do you miss the most?
I think the bond that this character misses the most is their parental bond. I think one of the reasons that they require a found family is that their family is lost. And I'm not sure how they've gotten lost yet. Or I'm not sure if it's like they purposely separated, but they're dealing with a loss of family, so they're searching for others.
Sure, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. I love that. So when the pain is too great, how do you disconnect?
I think this is a character that the way they disconnect is I think there's a literal disconnection. Like they cut cords. They don't talk. They withdraw into themselves.
Okay.
So they want connections, but they maybe don't feel like they deserve. I'm having a moment going, is this a little close to home? Sorry. I was like, no, I can handle this. Okay. Yeah, they withdraw and they cut ties from other people. So it's sort of like this paradoxical moment of they want to connect, but when they are at a point where they probably should be connecting more, they stop connecting because they don't feel like they're the heart they're supposed to be giving.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So lastly, where do you find peace?
They find peace. So there is a space where, it's kind of ramshackle. It's maybe a little overgrown, but there's these really nice pieces of, broken concrete and asphalt. Mm-hmm. And they have chalk, they scrounge it from places. And one of the things that they like to do is sort of found families is they have connections to other families, children and other adults of just let's just draw flowers and cats and rainbows on these pieces of sort of there is this destruction, but we can still make a mark on it.
Yeah. Even
if it's temporary.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Thank you.
So where do we picture this kind of I guess what I'm asking by that is you're in this space, right? You're in this place that is sort of your and I guess the next question is let's get some details about name, pronouns, etc.
Yeah. I think the name I picked out was Alucara. It's Alucara.
Perfect.
And they use they them pronouns.
All right.
Kind of like me, which I forgot to say at the top of the episode.
Perfect. Love it. So yeah. tell me a little bit about Alucara's specialty. Like, what have they been? What is their sort of role to date? What has drawn them into sort of fighting against the system, and what has been sort of their specialty, the thing that they the role that they have filled so far?
I think they are a finder.
Okay.
Very much, and they are a Hufflepuff. They are a finder. So they will go out and find things and bring them back, whether that be people, whether that be art supplies. They help. That's how they help formulate these connections with the communities. And sometimes finding is not like something physical. Like sometimes it's they find the lost connection between two people. So they're like, this and this person, they need help, but like they would help each other better. So they help find those connections as well. But I think their favorite thing to find is chalk.
Absolutely. Nothing beats a cute piece of chalk when you need it.
And sometimes it's really useful for magic too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Magic 101. So, that gives me a really great starting place. Where do you meet with, so the first thing that we see is, like, the city is vast and chrome and lit with neon light, and we pan over the city, we see the sort of, like, airships overhead, we see the war machines rolling through the streets. We see screens upon screens upon screens. And we see somewhere between like a junker and a futuristic sports car. Metal slick black chrome, but with rusted iron plates like stapled to the side of it. Crashing through a city street. Police drones are chasing behind these people, and like the car makes a jump, and the drones go, and 3 figures leap out of the side and roll and are hidden out of sight. Where do these people seek you out? This trio seeks you out. Where do they find you?
They find me at the Storm Surge Grate, where since they have leaped from the vehicle, Alucara is standing off to the side where there's sort of this nice juxtaposition. There's this dead space from cameras, and they have a crowbar in one hand and a bag full of chalk in the other, and they see the 3 people that they knew were coming. I'm not sure if Alucara knew that they were coming, or if they knew someone was going to be lost and needed to be found. But they do a high-pitched whistle, which the youngest of the 3 people who fell out of the car see, and they gesture, and using the chalk, they make a circle in the grate.
Yeah.
And the center of it sort of becomes kind of gooey and transparent. Like, it's not completely gone, but it's something where you can almost have you ever held the like jelly, like slappy hands that are kind of like gooey plastic?
Yep.
Where you don't want to touch them for too long because it'll leave that weird residue on your hands. The bars kind of turn into that, and Alucara crouches down and goes, "Come on, we'll escape through the tunnels."
Okay, so I'm actually gonna call for our first roll here.
Yes.
as you open up this magical tunnel, you are using magic.
Yeah.
Magic here is wild and nebulous, fueled by emotion and connection as much as memory and ritual. You have drawn this circle, you have opened this portal, but it is, where you are in this moment, and where, and so this is going to be a magical moment, right? To figure out where this sort of portal takes you. Or rather, what comes out of casting this.
Yep.
So what you're going to do is you start out with 1 dice each of Blight and Bloom. Bloom is your optimism, your hope, your kindness, your compassion. Blight is your cynicism, your weariness, your willingness to commit harm and do what has to be done.
Right.
So what you're going to do here is you are going to... Oh, yeah, for right now, you're going to roll all of your dice. You are going to subtract the higher number that you roll from the lower number.
Okay.
No, vice versa. Subtract the smaller number from the larger.
Okay, so I rolled a 6 and a 3, so I got a 3.
Was that on your Bloom dice or your Blight dice?
My Blight dice was the 6. My Bloom dice was the 3.
So you have 3 Blight. So why is it that right now you are feeling cynical or what is it right now that is driving your spite, your cynicism, your world weariness, etc.?
How dark do we want to get here? Because I was like, my brain went, this is a thing. I'm like, maybe not. That's a little dark, babe. What is driving Alucara's cynicism? I think Alucara currently is in the midst of having one of those times where they don't actually want to be connecting with people. But another member of the community is sort of pushing them to help. And I think they are feeling resistant because, the reason they wanted to disconnect was something that they had done had ended up poorly. And so they were reacting to that. And there's this feeling of, I'm just going to mess this up again, or I'm not going to do this well anyway. So, so maybe that kind of reflects in their magic of they don't feel like they're getting it anyway. So why should this be any different? But there is still that part of them. It's like, no, but there's a child here. So
right.
I should at least try.
I think that we get a flashback here, right? I think we get a flashback of you kind of being asked, kind of explaining why you're here as this car is leaping off and giving a little context to what our band of runaways is running from and why it's important that they meet up with you and that what you're kind of trying to help them find. Your friend Grail Remsen, they reached out to you in a panic, right? You were, they found you kind of in your space, right? You were mid painting, or mid chalk drawing, right? And they basically, informed you that, this group of young rebel activists, Raz Vancer, Cricks Railway, and Vrish Natali were all going to, they were stealing evidence of a prominent politician's corruption, right? An illegal arms deal had been made, and they have evidence. They need to get, but it required being stolen, so they are on the run, and they need you to find them a way out, a path to safety.
I mean, I would, but I mean, the character's name was Grail?
Grail, yeah.
Grail. It didn't work out so well last time. I don't know if I can do this.
There is no one in this city that is better at finding things and that knows the layout of this city better than you. I know what happened last time. I was there, but you have to believe me. You are the only person that we can count on here.
They have this moment where they kind of look at the sky and they go, all right, I'll do it. I'll try not to fuck it up this time.
I mean, I know you won't, but here's the deal. If you do it, you don't have to do it ever again. Just need, if we do this one thing, then maybe we can all do some good in this city and in this world, and maybe you can
Grail.
walk away.
They go through a whole range of emotions of like, I'll do it. It'll get done.
And we flash back to the present. We flash back to the present. We leap through the portal, and we don't find ourselves in a place of safety. Now, you have 3 points of Blight to spend. You can spend those at any time for certain magical effects. You can spend 1 Blight to inflict a grievous wound. You can spend 2 Blight to control the corruption for now. We'll get into what that means later. Or you can spend 3 Blight to stoke the spite in those around you.
I think what works out best is that Alucara is going to control the corruption for now.
Excellent. So you have that other point of Blight to use. If you'd like to inflict a wound later, you can hold on to that until such a time that it no longer makes sense to sort of have it.
That makes sense.
So you leap through it, and for everyone else, it's a blink of an eye. But for you, you jump in, and it's black. It is dark. It is, infinite abyss, right? And you're walking. It's everyone else is walking, but they are almost like not aware of it. You look back, and their faces are blurred, and they're sort of jump cutting from one spot to the next.
There's definitely like a glitchy thing going on, and everything is like gross and sticky.
Mm-hmm. And you appear in front of yourself. You are glitching. Like a version of you that is glitching. Right? Just like everyone else appears in front of you. And
so where do you need to go? Where am I taking you today?
You are taking me to a place that they can call safety, and to which I might call home.
Oh, but you know that place doesn't exist.
I repeat, you are going to take me to a place that they will call safety, and I will call home.
Oh, you're no fun. I liked you more when you were more idealistic. You were more fun. I'll take you where you want to go for now.
There's going to be a cost involved.
Oh, isn't there always?
And Alucara looks at the 3 behind them, and I think there's something on one of their jackets that kind of like reminds Alucara that I'm thinking like a flower, because again, like the rest of the Seeds of Rebellion has like this bloom and blight. Like I feel like there's like a flower or something.
It's like a floral patch, right? Like it's on one of those like commando vests, and
exactly.
It's just a little pink flower patch.
And there's just, it sparkles. It's a spark, like it has a sparkly bead on it, and Alucara looks at themselves and goes, "The price is always steep, but I'm willing to pay it for them."
Okay, that's fair. Deal accepted. Make a choice. Is it a place that they can be safe, or is it a place that you can call home?
Alucara looks back away from themselves. And there's a moment where inside Alucara there's a little glimmer of like that connection feeling of people are home. And so they give a wicked grin and go, "I choose their safety. I'm not out of this yet."
Fair deal. Always a pleasure doing business with you.
And for a brief moment, you feel like the corruption is genuine.
It's like it kind of sits in their stomach, but like in a way that like they're happy about it, but they're like, this is a bad thing. But why am I'm gonna currently ignore that feeling and keep on moving on because the only way out is through.
So you blink through the portal. The thing that you see is chrome. It's that slick, artificial kind of cobalt blue chrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
The kind of surface that chalk would never write on. You are in the tech district. And they look around for a moment, and all three of them, are like kind of smiling. Raz, he smiles and he's like, and here I thought everything they were saying about you was bullshit.
Alucard gives them just a single eyebrow of like, I assure you that much of it is. This, however, is not.
Suppose that's true for all of us, but god dang. Well, hell, if we could get to a terminal or an internet cafe or something, we could publish this and then we're in the clear. I mean, we would have to... Do you know anybody that has a secure space that maybe we could work with?
Yes, I do. They shift their jacket and sort of they stick their hand in their bag of chalk. And this is less like magic and just more like a coping mechanism. And they just they find the nearest just like shiny chrome piece that they can find that's just absolutely flawless and just give like it just the chalkiest smack just to sort of disrupt this area.
Right.
And they reach out and they're like, okay, I need to find this person. And as the chalk sort of settles down in the beds, in their nail beds, they remember a time when, honestly, they broke their phone. It was just, it completely shattered on the ground and it was absolutely unretrievable. But a friend who wasn't a friend then, picked it up and said, this looks like it's never going to work again, but I could probably fix it. Would you like some help? And they remember that friend and they're like, that's the person we need to go see. And their apartment is that way.
I'm going to whip out an All My Fantasy Children classic and roll for some pronouns real quick. 1, 2, he, his. 2, 3, 4, she, hers. 5, 6, they, theirs. 6, their name is, I just really wanted to call them the Capn, because I think that's a great name for a fixer. The Capn. CAP''N.
I love it.
If you try to call them the Captain, they correct you. But they don't look up at you when they do it. They're the kind of like on their computer. It's Capn.
Capn, my Capn.
All right, so give me this. I'm going to say to get a hold of them, right? Like there are terminals and phone booths and or pay phones and computer screens and all that kind of stuff that you could probably make a call on. So I'm going to ask you to take action here.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you a question. Are you confident that you can get a hold of the Capn?
Yes. I am confident that I can get hold of the Capn because I had found a very shiny rock for them. Mm-hmm. And it's a shiny rock that has a perfect hole through it, and I want to give it to them for good luck.
Okay, then yeah. anytime, if you have complete confidence in your action, you're able to just do it. Anytime you have less than complete confidence, that's when I'm going to ask you to make a taking action roll. That's the way that the game works. Basically, it is designed, the game is drawn, or the drama of the game is drawn from our relationship to confidence and the ways in which circumstance can alter that. So if you believe without doubt that you can get a hold of the Capn, then you describe to me how you do it.
So the Capn is a bit of a caffeine addict. Mm-hmm. So Alucara, out of another pocket, sort of starts to run the stone that they have for them in their hands. Alucara walks with confidence, using their innate feelings of finding, because they have not one but two things for to Capn. They have a magic rock that should bring them luck, and they have people and information that is useful and awe-inspiring for the rebellion.
Love it. Yeah, so you find, you turn a corner, you turn another corner, you're going kind of down, and you're going down into somewhat of a parking garage, and there is, like, next door to the garage, but kind of almost underground, there is, like, not so much a coffee shop as it's somewhere between a coffee shop and a bodega.
Yeah, it's a bodega where there's like two fluorescent lights and like half of one of them is out, and you want to make sure that you check the expiration dates on some things. Not that it's usually fine, but it's always good to just double check.
Yeah, it's worth double checking. And you open it, and they're walking out, and the two of you almost bump into each other. Or rather, they almost bump into you because you knew that they were coming out of the store. Two giant, 20-ounce can energy drinks in hand.
And they almost drop their phone, but Alucara catches it and smiles. The Capn know my Capn?
It's Capn, but yeah, hey, well met, friend. Energy drink? You tired?
Always and forever. However, it's not a good idea right now.
Is it a good idea if I have one?
Oh, you go right for it. I
was going to do it anyway.
I mean, we all knew that too. It honestly, the caffeine is making me jittery, and it's having problems with me sleeping, so I'm not imbibing that currently. However, I also have some presents for you.
Are they the gum with the caffeine in it? Because I tried that. It does not work. Like, you think it's gonna work, and like you feel kind of itchy for a little bit, but like it's not really the same.
Yeah. It's absolutely not that. It's not that.
Okay.
It's not that. However, if you need that, or if you need something better than that, I'll keep my eye out for you.
It's never a bad thing. So it sounds like this is a work thing, so we should meet in my office.
Yes.
There are 4 of you.
I'm going to be leaving 3 of them with you. I'm not going to be staying.
All right. Well,
But I do also have this for you. And they tuck the shiny rock with the hole in it into their front pocket.
Huh. Oh, I knew I liked you. All right, here's what's going to happen. 5 people, counting me, go into my office, is going to raise a stink. So you're all going to have to kind of scatter and regroup. Can you kind of give them directions in 4 different ways to my office, and we all meet here in like 10 minutes?
There's a moment while Alucara looks put upon, but the captain knows that that is mostly them hamming it up. Of like, there's again that heavy sigh, but there's a little bit more of a smile to it. Of Grail was probably right. Doing something would help.
Mm-hmm.
You can never make it easy, can you?
It can't be easy. If it were easy, I wouldn't need the energy drinks.
Ain't that the truth?
All right.
All right.
Well,
10 minutes.
I'll see you
routes.
in 10 minutes. And they pop both. They pop both tabs with their thumbs and like duck and like just duck into the parking garage and are gone. All you kind of hear is the fizz of 2 energy drinks sort of echoing through the parking garage. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel completely confident that you can direct 3 people to the captain's office whilst getting them to avoid trouble so that you all arrive separately within 10 minutes? Knowing that there is police heat on this group of people.
I think there are 2 pieces. I think that I think there is the completely rational of like, no, I do this. I find things and I help people who are lost find the things they need. But I think they're also still a little on edge from their last failure and their moment with themselves in the in-between.
Yeah.
So I honestly would have to say no. That they're going to put on a very brave face, but they have concerns that this is going to go sideways very fast.
Okay. Well, then I am going to ask you to take action. And I will give you the extra dice from your previous memory of friendship with the captain. You have a relationship. You know where this office is. The 2 of you have worked together before. So you're going to roll 2 dice.
Okay.
You want to get results of 4 to 6. 1 to 3 is a failure. 4 to 6 is a success. Once you roll, you're going to subtract your failures from your successes. If you have 1 or more success, you are successful. If not, you have failed.
Okay, so total dice is 2 bloom, no blight.
So you're going to roll your 2 bloom.
Okay. That would be a 3 and a 2, which means that's a 1, which means this does in fact go sideways. If I am reading the rules right.
So what happens is you rolled 2 failures, and 2 failures minus 0 successes minus 2 failures means that yes, this is going sideways. So yeah, you give the directions. Everyone splits up. I'm gonna say you get there just fine, and there's actually kind of a lookout perch, like sort of an awning above their office, which you can see is it is the hacker room from any heist hacker movie. Like, it's just computer screens and wires and cables. And like, you look around and you can tell like it probably could be much sleeker and a lot of it could be wireless, but they've consciously like done it up half for the aesthetic and half for security.
Because, like, we're a whole bunch of non-binary folk. We have to do it for the aesthetic. Like,
right, of course.
It's part of the job description at that point.
So you're on the awning and you're watching, and that's when you're waiting for a moment, and you see Vrishna come in, and she is like 6 foot tall, made of muscle, right? She's the one with the vest with the little flower on it. She is clearly the muscle, the bodyguard of this operation.
Hashtag I'm real gay right now, Jeff. Sorry, that was probably too much information.
Oh, good. You see Raz, tweety tiny little man, wearing the obnoxious tech dude uniform, which is of course a t-shirt, suit coat, jeans, sneakers.
Oh, it isn't the vest that fleece vest?
No, it's a suit. It's a blue jacket with a t-shirt and with a logo t-shirt underneath.
Oh my god,
And
I
some
see
real
that.
thick sneakers and some real thick sneakers and rolled up jeans.
I see it. I see it. I hate it and I love it at the same time. Oh my god, I love it so much.
E3 presenter uniform, if you could picture that.
I can see it, and I love it, and
So you see Raz, and you see Vrishna, but you don't see Cricks. And you wait a moment, and then you hear glass smash, and then you hear the sirens, and you see like the lights, you see the lights start to flicker red and blue, and there is clearly an alert spreading through the street.
Alucard bolts and heads towards the crash. Like it's like almost as soon as the first glass bits, it's like running towards the problem and swearing under their breath. You
see Cricks running with a laptop monitor and like a little, like with a wired camera kind of trailing behind it, cracking on the ground repeatedly. And she is running in exactly the wrong direction. And you're seeing little dots on the air around you of the police drones.
Alucard is going to reach out with, they're doing two things at once. One hand is again going into that pouch of chalk, and you can kind of see them like grip the chalk and like break it into a bunch of pieces, and then another grabbing Cricks by the scruff of their neck, by the scruff of their jacket, and Alucard like dust clouds the police drones, and it is this bright. It's like all of this sort of, it's like pink and green and blue, just very reminiscent of a color run of just like chalk dust everywhere, but specifically in their very sensitive optical pieces, and grabs Cricks and sort of pulls them around the corner and then holds them tight to their chest as like all of the chalk dust sort of falls into the street below, and starts counting very quietly under their breath.
This sounds like magic.
Yes, I think it is magic. They are. It's an invisibility spell. Sort of they are casting color elsewhere to remove color from themselves and their target.
Right.
All right.
So, you're gonna roll all your dice, and you're gonna subtract your higher number from your lower number between your blight and your bloom.
Okay. So at this point, does that mean? So how many dice do I have right now? So I have 2 bloom.
You have 2 right now. You have you have 1 bloom, 1 blight. If you can describe a memory of friendship that would help you with this spell, you can add an additional bloom. Okay.
There is in the dust cloud of in the chalk dust cloud, there is a couple of sort of pieces spiraling, and they are reminiscent of what is the tree? There's a maple trees, I think, are the ones that have the little helicopter pods.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And there is a moment with Grail and like Grail in the mission right before this, before everything went wrong, where there is another child about the same age as Cricks. And Grail and Alucard, and I'm really bad at names, are sort of standing and watching the children play, and there is a moment where I think no, I'm not. That's too close. One of the children, the child that is about Crix's age, Crix's age, comes up and shows Grail and Alucara a flower that someone else had just like stomped on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really unhappy about life. But Alucara sort of like gets down to their level and shows them and rubs a little bit of the chalk dust onto the flower and onto the kid's nose, like sort of like in this way of like, sometimes the world is messy and embracing that messy. Mm-hmm. And it's like, see, we fixed it all on our own. Like, yeah, sometimes the flowers get stepped on, but it doesn't make them any less beautiful. Because like, look, now it's a brush.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah, perfect. Roll 2 bloom and a blight, and you're going to subtract the higher number from the lower number.
Okay. So am I adding the 2 bloom dice together?
Yes.
Okay. Because I rolled 2 on the blight, and then I rolled a 6 and a 4 on the bloom.
All right. So you can do the following things. You can heal someone's wound. You can cleanse an area of corruption. You can offer warmth to a cold heart. You can make something beautiful and permanent. And you, because you are the heart, can detect and interpret nearby emotions, see the connections between people, uncover a mystery in someone's heart, or share a moment of perfect connection. And you have 8 points to play with.
Dang. Okay.
And I should note that those things are rated in order from 1 point to 4 points.
Okay, so there's the bloom. There's the general bloom for using magic. Where's the heart pieces? Do you remember what page that is on?
Yes, I have it in front of me. You're looking at are you looking at the most recent version or a previous version?
I re-downloaded it. So Seeds of 3.
Okay, then it is on page 16.
Okay.
As this is happening, Cricks, you're holding you get to Cricks. It all works perfectly. And Cricks is just sobbing and is like, they just put everything out there, like my address and like they just decided to, turn me into a story of the week. What the fuck?
Alucara, they already had Grick sort of like covered up from sort of the hiding from the police drones. But like hearing this like younger person like be like, someone doxed them, like to put it in sort of current parlance.
Yeah.
And that is the worst. And like that feeling of being so vulnerable and not being able to control any of it. They are going to make something beautiful and permanent. In that, for the 4 out of the, I had 8 bloom. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. For 4 of that 8 bloom, we actually see the police drones fly through the chalk cloud and come out just absolutely absurdly painted. And it kind of it's kind of that those moments in like mostly grayscale movies and you see something very colorful. And it's complete, like something about the magic. I mean, it definitely is the magic. Some person later is going to try to take it off and mutter something about like electrostatic film, but we all know it's magic. Right. And it kind of looks like tiny, like a field of flowers going through the sky. And Alucara sort of holding, like rubbing Grix on the back of her, against her back, and sort of patting her on the head, covering the child in shock, because that's what they do. Is then going to also offer warmth to a cold heart, in that they are going to give comfort, in that they are going to help Grix hide this information. So sometimes a finder knows how to find lost things, because sometimes things need to be lost.
Right, sure.
So the magic that is happening is that we see the chalk sort of form a little bit of a barrier between the information that is being spread, and it's sort of flexing out. That's a bad way to say it.
No, I get exactly what you're saying. I think that's I get exactly what you're saying, and I think Cricks is crying and is calm, right? Like, is crying, but is feeling the comfort of this moment, and like knowing that you are here for her is like calming her down a little bit. And like the drones are flying overhead looking ridiculous, and they're still flying overhead, they're still scouting, but like you hear a few people on the street like look up and laugh, and the drones like stop and like basically flash lights at them, and they kind of scuffle on their way, but like it's not much, but like it's something, right? Like, you can't stop the drones from having that power, but at least they look ridiculous in this moment. And forevermore, right?
Yeah.
Like it's something tiny and small.
And at least for now, their lenses are dusted up.
Yeah, they are. You are effectively invisible to the drones as the two of you make your way back to the Capn's office, and you kind of get there just in time to see the Capn, like hitting one last key, and it's like, well, I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It ain't gonna do much, but the information is out there. People can do with it what they want. Do I think it's gonna get the fucker impeached or jailed or anything? Do I think it's gonna hurt him? Probably not. But I mean, at least it's out there for people to see, right? That's got to be something.
It always is, even if it's small. And sometimes the smallest act of defiance is the one that's going to leave the most lasting mark.
Yeah.
And besides, you have a shiny rock.
I got a shiny rock. It's pretty great. Well, anyway, I'm crashing pretty hard off of caffeine, so I get out. And they kind of just start to slump over on their desk. And, like, everyone is standing around, and you're all just kind of standing around, kind of on this awning as, like, Raz kind of looks over at Cricks and is like, we can get her a couch to crash on for a few days, weeks, if that's, we could find her a place to crash.
Alucara looks at Cricks. How do you feel about chalk dust?
And he looks over his suit, and he looks over his jacket. He's like, I mean, I really don't. And then he sees Vrishna over your shoulder behind you, and he just, yeah, okay, no, it's fine. It's good. It's great. I love it. I'll get a dust roller.
I think
Vrishna puts a hand on your shoulder and is like, we'll make do.
Well, if you can make do, I think I can find you a place.
That's what you do. So we appreciate it. No matter what he says, we appreciate it. I can't be the only one looking after these jabronis.
Hey, it's a thankless job, but someone's got to do it, right?
She throws you a fist bump.
And And I think Alucard reaches deep into her chalk bag, and there's like a perfectly long unbroken piece of chalk, and I think it's perfectly in plain white with a nice hardness to it, and she tucks it behind Cricks's ear.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that one's for you, so you have some power over your own circumstances.
Thank you. Thanks. And she, for the first time, sort of like her posture straightens up a little bit, and she kind of smiles a little bit and is like, okay, thank you.
And I can show you how to use it if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, and she looks up, and like one of the police drones is still like floating just overhead, still trying to dust, the little wipers are trying to smear the chalk dust, and she just smiles like, yeah, I think that'd be good. And Vrishna's like, we could work with that. Always useful to have a new skill on the team, right?
It's a very useful skill.
And the last thing that you hear is your own voice in your ear just mutter, you got one on me for now. For now.
For now.
And I think that's game.
Oh, that's so good!
That was good. That was a ton of fun.
Oh, that's so good. Oh,
that was a ton of fun.
I love Alucard so much, and I love their new little apprentice. Oh, so good. Okay.
Good. Very good. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show to play with me. This was an absolute hoot.
Well, thank you for having me, Jeff. It was so much fun. And now I kind of want to go dig out all of my pastels and make a giant mess.
Oh, God, that makes me so happy. So real quick, before we wrap up, before you go make a giant mess, why don't you tell people where people can find you and your work online?
You can find my personal Twitter as @NWFairy. I'm pretty much that all over the internet. You can find the podcast that I'm the storyteller of, Hedged in a Changeling Story, at hedgedinacs.com or at hedgedinacs on Twitter and Tumblr. And then you can find all of my professional work at www.vjbrowndesigns.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a delight. And now I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me.
Thanks, past me. And thanks again to VJ for coming on the show. That game was so much fun. It was really it was a great game. It was a great game, and I loved it top to bottom. Be sure to head to neithernora.itch.io to pick up a copy of Seeds of Rebellion, and be sure to follow VJ on Twitter at NWFairy. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/partyofonepodcast, join our Discord community at bit.ly/partyofonediscord. If you enjoyed the show, consider leaving us a nice review on iTunes, Podchaser, whichever platform you use to listen to and enjoy podcasts. Consider giving us a nice shout out on social media. Consider telling a friend about the podcast. Any of those things help new listeners find the show, which helps us do bigger, better, and cooler things. You could also consider backing the show on Patreon at patreon.com/JeffStormer. This supports not only Party of One, but all of the podcasts, games, community things that I do over the course of a given day. And I really, really appreciate your tangible means of support of helping make cool stuff happen. Another thing you can do to support me is listen to All My Fantasy Children, one of my favorite podcasts in the world, and I only partially say that because I'm on it. Every week on All My Fantasy Children, my best friend, Aaron Catano Saez, and I take a listener-submitted prompt, we spin it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday at allmyfantasychildren.com. Party of One is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Megaran, featuring the D&D Sluggers. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, press coverage, or appearing on the show, you can reach out to me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And that's it for me. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the force of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.